If the NewVoice installer is used to install the Diva server driver, there are 3 drivers to choose from. Depending on the card type, the appropriate installation must be used. For server cards, the current Diva server driver installation should be used. Only if old cards with the revision 1 which is noted on the card are installed, the installation 7.0 with the patches belonging to it must be used. For Diva server cards with revision 2, installation 8.3 must be used. For all new cards, the latest driver for Windows 32-bit or 64-bit should be used. Before installing the driver, make sure the card is installed in the server. If there is no Dialog Diva card installed in the server, Dialog will recognize and install the Diva SIP stack for a VoIP communication. This can lead to problems with the NewVoice VoIP application. Make sure to only install the Dialog driver when there is a card installed in the server. The Diva server driver installation also installs the following programs. The Check IST inline or line test. This is responsible for checking the Diva server cards and connections. Diva Server Configuration Manager. This is the main configuration tool for the Diva server cards. Diva Server Diagnostics. This program is for testing the Dialog Diva cards. Calls can be monitored and log files of the call procedures can be stored. Diva Server Monitor. This shows the current state of the cards and lines. The NewVoice tool must not be started. Important. After installing the Diva driver, do not restart the PC. Only after completion of all installations. The NewVoice applications are licensed to use, the license which is stored on a USB or software dongle. The Sentinel driver needs to be installed to read out the entire license to use. The installer of Sentinel will guide you through, to install all needed drivers. After the first click on the next button, it will come to the license agreement. Continue by accepting those. After clicking on Next, you can decide to install the complete software or custom installation. Choose Complete for a fully working Sentinel dongle. After clicking one more time on Next, you come to the windows where you can start with the installation by pressing the Install button. In the last window, the Sentinel installer asks you to make an exclusion in the firewall. By pressing on Yes, the exclusion in the firewall will be made. By pressing on No, it can be that the exclusion needs to be added later if needed. NewVoice recommend pressing on Yes. Once done, the installer will add the files into the correct directory and start the services. You will get notices when the installation is done. Click on Finish to complete this installation part. Start the installation of MobiCall on the request Install NewVoice Tool now, by pressing the Yes button. On the first page, you are going to select the language what is used for the MobiCall software. The language can be changed afterwards. Accept your selection by pressing on Next. The next window is a welcome message to the installer. Continue by pressing the Next button. After that, the license agreements are shown. It is important to carefully read the license agreement and activating the box Yes, I agree with all the terms of this license and end-user agreement. Continue by pressing the Next button. On the next page, you can choose what you are going to install. NewVoice strongly recommends to use the option NewVoice Tool for copy and VoIP if you are going to install copy or VoIP only and want to make changes in the future. You would need to reinstall the complete software. Continue by pressing the Next button. On the next page you will receive information about the needed partitions for the MobiCall software. Continue by pressing the Next button. Now you can define on what drive MobiCall shall be installed. The MobiCall software can also be installed on a different drive like D, but then NewVoice can't guarantee for a fully functioning system and thus no support is given. NewVoice strongly recommends installing only on drive D. Continue by pressing the Next button. On the next page you have two options for the user that starts the services. It is recommended to use the first option, which says that the user NewVoice MobiCall is created automatically with a generated password. Second option is to give a username and a password for starting the NewVoice Tool service. It must be ensured that there is no password change for this user. Important, the user has to exist locally on the system and needs full administrator rights. Continue by pressing the Next button. After you reached the last page, start the installation by pressing the Next button. Once done, the installer will start copying the files into the directory d:\NVT where you can find all NewVoice programs. After all files are copied successfully, finish the installation by pressing the Finish button. For the NewVoice web application, for the SQL Alarm Viewer and for a fully working MobiCall solution, the SQL Database needs to be installed. Click on Yes to start the installation of the database. The language you select now refers only to the current installation, not to the application itself. After a language is chosen, press the Next button to continue. When done, you will see a welcome message to the installer. Continue by pressing Next. Read the license agreements and check the box Yes, I agree with all the terms of this license agreement and click Next to continue. After pressing on Next one more time, the installer starts to extract the files into the correct directory. From version 7.7, NewVoice uses the PostgreSQL database. This will be installed on the server via your own installation. The database must be installed on the drive containing the previously installed NewVoice software, typically drive D. To install and configure the PostgreSQL database, the NewVoice Postgres installer automatically launches. It extracts the required data, installs the database, installs the ODBC drivers, starts the service for the NV PostgreSQL database and creates all the necessary web and alarm databases and the config data for the persons and groups. The installation installs the NV PostgreSQL service. For login, the account called local system will be used. The database is started during the installation. The database and ODBC connections can be checked via the NewVoice configuration wizard on the SQL Database settings page or through the System Status and Analysis tool. After the installation is finished, press on OK to close the current window. And finish the SQL installation by pressing Finish. Important. The web interface is an only 64 bits application. 32-bit Windows is not supported anymore. Start the installation by pressing Yes at the After the setup is unpacked, select a language for the installer. The language for the web itself can be defined by every user in the use. The first page is a little warning. Since MobiCall 8.3.0 only EasyWeb is used, if you are going to install EasyWeb it is not possible to go back into the old web anymore. Continue by pressing Next. Next window is for the license agreement. Carefully read the license agreement and continue by pressing I agree. Select the installation drive. NewVoice recommends installing only on drive D. By pressing on install the installation starts and the files are being copied in the correct directory. Click on show details to see everything what is happening on the installation. At the very end of the installation, the Easy Installer will pop up and activating everything for the EasyWeb. Also the VC Redistributable 2008 needs to be installed for a fully working web interface. Follow the installation window for the installation of VC Redistributable 2008. After this is done, the web will start with adding and starting the services and the database will be merged to the actual version. When the installer shows complete, just press close to finish the web installation. It is highly recommended to install the listed additional programs. .7-zip is needed, for example, to compress backups and to zip the login code. The PDF reader is required to open the docs, which are installed with. Install Google Chrome. This is responsible for NVX and the web interface. The background system information screen is there to see at a glance the configuration of the system, such as the IP address, CPU, or configuration of the hard disk. Install the Notepad++. Since it is a very powerful tool, it is necessary for support. We also install the Wireshark to identify where the problem originates in the event of a network problem. Backup: it is recommended to copy the installation files to the system, so they are always available when needed if the CD-ROM is lost or damaged. For this, the complete installation software should be copied to the A drive or to the C drive. Documentation: documentations can be found on the CD in the Docs folder. Further documentation can be obtained from our FTP server. Please contact NewVoice support for an FTP account. After installation, the documentation is located under D/NVT/docs.